Il monastero di Dečani è il più importante complesso religioso della Chiesa ortodossa nella municipalità di Pristina. Costruito nel 1300 e sopravvissuto alla dominazione ottomana e a 2 guerre mondiali. Durante la guerra del 1999 ha rischiato più volte di essere distrutto dalle milizie armate, quale simbolo della controparte. Protetto ancora oggi da KFOR, è diretto dall'abate Padre Sava.
Padre Sava, può parlarci della storia del monastero di Dečani?
Yes, this monastery is one of the oldest and best preserved Christian Orthodox sites in the Balkans. It was constructed between 1327 and 1335, beginning of the 14th century, by King Stefan Uroš III, known as Stefan Decani. And the church was completed by his son Dušan, who also commissioned frescoes, which were finished by the mid-14th century. So everything was completed by almost 1350, 1388. So the church has survived centuries, the monastery, and it has been a living monastic center for many centuries of difficult period, particularly under Ottoman rule, and the monks managed to survive and to preserve this beautiful place. And at the same time, they continued various activities like painting. They had icon painting. They also translated and wrote books. So our library, which is currently not here, it is in Belgrade National Museum, consists of almost 300 tomes of handwritten books with beautiful illuminations and translations and so on. So the monastery was a spiritual and intellectual center throughout centuries. And it was also the source of hope of the Christian people that one day they would be free.
Quanto è importante la sicurezza di questo monastero?
Yes, the most challenging period of the 20th century, because it was the most turbulent period of the end of Ottoman rule and the appearance of new states, First World War, the Second World War. And I must say, before I come to the present day, particularly highlight the role of the Italian army in the Second World War, which protected this monastery. Because the monastery in 1941 was in great danger by local Albanian militias. And the monks invited Italian soldiers to protect it, and it was Carabinieri who came here in 1941. And they left beautiful impressions in the Book of Impressions, saying it was an honor to protect this monastery. So it is now an opportunity again for the Italian soldiers to protect this monastery. Because after the war in Kosovo, in 1999, since then there have been serious security challenges. We've had 4 armed attacks in which grenades were fired at the monastery. In one case, instead of grenade, it was RPG. And that's why we have very strong KFOR presence here, led by the Italian army, which has taken responsibility to protect the monastery. And we see this as a wonderful example of the peacekeeping mission in which protecting these beautiful historical and cultural sites, the Italian army is protecting itself civilizational foundations that link this area with Europe. Because without cultural monuments, it would be very hard to find the missing link and connection with the rest of Europe for this part of the world. Which, as you can see, in the 14th century, it was culturally, religiously very close to other European countries.
Qual è il suo punto di vista sulla situazione politica attuale del Kosovo?
It is very fragile, and Europe is going through the period of political transformations because it's we have political and economic challenges like Brexit, and but I believe that Europe will find strength to stay together and to reconfirm its historical and civilizational role, because the idea of keeping the European continent together is an old, noble idea, which was done first by Roman Empire for the first time. We see this future of this area only within European context. Without European integration into Western Balkans, it would be very hard to find a lasting peace in the Balkans, because there are many different political nationalist interests which clash against one another. And in possibly renewed conflict between the states or groups, various ethnic groups in the Balkans, that would be a disaster, particularly for ethnic and religious minorities. That's why to preserve this, what remains of this beautiful mosaic of different cultures, traditions in the Balkans, it's very important to persevere on the road of reforms and the European way. And we expect from Europe to keep the door open and to help the Balkan countries to reform and preserve peace, rather than choose the road of national states and new conflicts. That's why we've been saying very often that even the shape of this church is sending a message, because from outside it is a Romanesque cathedral, very much like many in Western Europe. Inside it has the Eastern Byzantine soul. It shows that in fact this area with this particular culture and tradition belongs both to European tradition but also retains its traditional Eastern Orthodox Byzantine cultural tradition and identity.
Qual è la sua opinione sulla situazione politica attuale?
Yes, it is very fragile, because after the war in 1999, the true peace has not come for all communities in Kosovo. We have non-Albanian communities, particularly Serbian communities, which is not able to start normal life after the war. 2/3 of our pre-war population still remains in exile. They cannot return here. And the process of return is almost stopped. In cities, big cities of Kosovo, we have only 10, 20 maximum of our people. And the most of Serbs live in village enclaves. And it would be very hard to preserve our population in future unless the situation is created to be more favorable and safer for the Serbian community. Also, as a church, we are facing challenges because there are people in the Kosovo Albanians who are denying our identity. And they are saying that this is not an Orthodox Christian church, this is not a Serbian church, this is an Albanian church. We know very well that history doesn't say this. This is witnessed by many foreign visitors. We want this church to be home for all, but we cannot change the history just in order to please somebody. That's why the local group here in Dečani, which calls themselves historians but has nothing to do with history, they threatened tomorrow to block the monastery. They say that we have to accept the reality that this is Albanian church, that this is an Albanian society. We say to this, no, we want to remain what we have remained through centuries, and they are welcome to enjoy in this diversity and live peacefully. And we would like to live peacefully here. But that's why presence of international community and KFOR is essential, because the monastery has been attacked 4 times after the war, and KFOR, here presence of KFOR is to discourage future attacks, particularly dangers of terrorism as well, because we had last year 4 armed militants linked with ISIS who were arrested in front of the monastery. So KFOR here is to discourage going Kosovo towards more militant and radical line, but choosing rather the road towards European standards and cooperation.
Cosa ne pensa delle spinte fondamentaliste islamiche in quest'area? Quali sono i rischi?
It is already an increasing risk because during the previous years, Kosovo was one of the territories and entities which gave the most of warriors per capita of population. So there were quite a number of warriors there. There are still some who are there. Some of them returned. And we have recently seen an attempted attack in Venice, which was prepared by Kosovo Albanians. So that's why it's very important for Kosovo population, particularly Kosovo Muslims, to find strength to resist fundamentalism, because this will damage Kosovo and this will be damaging for everybody. Kosovo must choose the road far away from extremism, either religious or ethnic nationalist, and find the path, political path of stability, protecting the rule of law, and protecting all citizens, regardless of their religion and ethnicity.